Hey guys, Joshua Laycock here. Just got home, had a nice weekend visiting some family. Um, my kids are starting to learn how to drive each other crazy, which is interesting because the collateral damage, of course, is the sanity of my wife and I. I've got siblings, but they're from my dad's second marriage. I never lived with them, so I'm not used to, I'm my mom's only child. I'm not used to siblings screaming at each other, so that's taking some getting used to. But you know, it was interesting. Um, my wife and I are always kind of looking for the next place that we want to live, the next city or province or whatever. We like to move around, and I don't know if that's because, my wife was from a military family, so she moved around a lot if she's used to it. It's funny, I seem to think it's because I didn't move around very much, and I like to see different parts of the world, but we were talking, her and I, as we were driving home, and I honestly don't remember who said it. I think it was probably me, but we said, I just kind of want to find that place that feels like home, that feels like we fit in. And I think finding a sense of belonging is really, really important. And I know there's a lot of people that will say, well, if you're the kind of person who's always looking for the next place and it's never where you want to be, you're trying to find happiness, grass is greener kind of thing. And there's definitely an element to that. I get that. But at the same time, there is also a sense of trying to find a community and trying to find a sense of where you belong. Growing up, I had friends, but I always had a really small group of friends. And to be completely honest with you, I've always felt like a bit of an outsider. And I do even now in many spaces, like at work, I always have felt like a bit of an outsider. And even within the men's group that I'm a part of, I have no idea why, but I always have felt like a bit of an odd duck, a bit of an outsider, and not by choice. I'm not trying to be that lone wolf guy. I've just always felt like a bit of an outsider, and while I have some incredible friends within this group that I'm a part of, and it's an important part of my life, I still struggle with the sense of belonging, and it's better than it's ever been. I absolutely feel like I feel a really deep sense of belonging when I'm with my wife. That was probably the biggest thing for me that got me when we got together, was just that sense of this is where I belong. I don't feel that often. And I think it's important. And, I do caution, because I'm one of those types of people, and I think that my wife is as well, is that we are sometimes one of those things will be awesome when, things will be better when, grass is greener. But to the flip side of that, though, is while you should be doing everything in your power to find a sense of belonging and to find your own personal happiness and satisfaction wherever you are, because it doesn't have to be, geographically driven. I do think, though, that, have the courage to test that out. Have the courage to move around. I know that I felt from a physical, geographic perspective, the closest that I probably ever felt to a belonging sense of community was in North Van. When we lived in North Vancouver, I really enjoyed that. I liked the vibe of it and the feel. And my wife and I were talking about, well, where else do we want to check out? Where else do we want to go and see if that's where we fit in, if that's where we jive with the community? But there's a, the sayings of, like, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with, and there's a lot of conversations about tribes these days. I, for one, think they're very important. Having a group of friends that are really close knit, that you look out for each other, and that, to be honest, you put the needs of the tribe ahead of, not at the expense of, but ahead of the other things that are in and around in your life. I think that's important. And it's difficult. Both my wife and I have said, man, I wish that we had friends outside of you know, that a lot of our friends that we have had growing up or through school or through work don't have kids. So it's tough to spend a lot of time with people. While we always value the time that we have with our friends, it's really difficult to connect with people routinely when they don't have kids. It's a sense of, you know, you're vibrating on a different level. It's not better or worse. It's just different enough that it matters. But I think that the search for that belonging, the search for that tribe is important. And I know that I'm going to get a lot of comments, as I said, about, you know, you have to kind of get right with yourself and you'll find that and blah, 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 blah. And as I said, there's a truth to that. But if you're stuck, if something doesn't feel quite right, if you don't feel like you belong, the important point that I'm trying to make is that it's worth searching. There is going to be a place where you're going to land, and not that everything is going to be better. Not that it's like, I'm here and everything is fine. But I do think that you have to look for those communities, whether it's a physical location or a group of people who share a lot of the same things that you share, who challenge you, but who have a lot of the same values. I know a lot of my friends who are religious find that community within their church. I know that for me, like I said, through this men's group, the Order of Man, you see it over there on the wall, that flag there. I mean, I fly the flag next to the Canadian flag because that's how tight and how important that community means to me. But it is largely a digital community. There's something lacking there for me. And that sense of belonging is important. And I'm not entirely sure that you can get the most out of life until you find that place where you belong. And yes, I belong with my family, and yes, we have our own little tribe, but I think there has to be more. I think that there is somewhere out there a community of people where we will get together and we will hang out and it will feel better. And we will still have the same challenges. We will still want to eat the same bad food. We will still struggle to wake up in the morning to work out. We will still get frustrated with our kids, and all of those things will still exist, but we will be part of a community that pulls us together and that we can rely on and that they can rely on us. So it's this sense of belonging that we're searching for, this sense of community. And while the search cannot supersede all the other things that as individuals that we need to do, I guess the point that I will make again is just, if you don't feel like you belong, keep looking. Don't be afraid to keep looking. Don't be afraid to make bold moves. I don't think it was a sense of belonging that drove us, but I remember when my wife and we got together, we were still dating at the time, and we just decided, let's just move to Vancouver. Like, we just wanted to change. And within 3 months, we had packed up, changed our jobs, and moved to Vancouver. And I remember so many people saying, like, well, what if it doesn't work? Well, then we'll move back. So be it. But I do think that there was something about that we were looking for, a sense of belonging and a sense of tribe and a sense of culture and feel. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, the harder, the more you level up, the more that you introduce things in your life that the average population thinks is too hard or is a little bit crazy or is too much work, or when you start to prioritize things above watching TV, or talking about the game on the weekend, it's going to be harder and harder to find that community of people who resonate with what matters. But I think more and more then it becomes more important, but then the payoff, I think, will be bigger. So it's always interesting as we look around in different cities within our country and we play around with the idea of where do we go next. We always do a really quick gut check to make sure, are we running away from something? No, I don't think we are, other than maybe insane house prices in Toronto. But are we running away from something? No, not this time. I think it really is just trying to find a sense of community, a sense of tribe. So go hunt for it. I hope that you have your tribe. Let me know if you do. Beyond the family. I mean, the family is important, but I think it has to go beyond that. Let me know if you found it, if you're looking for it, what that looks like for you, and if this video resonated with you in any way. So I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm going to go down and eat some dinner, hang out with the kids before our crazy Sunday night routine goes on. And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care, guys.